Broke up. BRICS is not, in my opinion, not a serious threat. But what they're trying to do is destroy the dollar so that another country can take over and be the standard. And we're not going to lose the standard at any time. If you have a smart president, you will never lose the standard. If you have a stupid president like the last one, you would lose the standard. You wouldn't have the dollar as you. And if we lost the world standard dollar, that would be like losing a war, a major world war. We would not be the same country any longer. We're not going to let that happen. The dollar, you ever hear the expression, dollar is king? The dollar is king. We're going to keep it that way, okay? We're going to keep it that way. We're going to keep it that way.
Over the past year or so, I have tried to focus on Bible prophecy and really teaching about what is important. I have been trying to keep our eyes on the kingdom and less about what's happening in this world around us. Because if you focus on what is important, regardless of these events happening in the world, if you keep your eyes on Yah and recognize what is truly important, then you will always be ready. I've been very much focused on the kingdom, and that will never change. But as we have entered into the second half of this year, and I believe that events will escalate more dramatically and swift, I only think it to be prudent to make sure that you understand truly what is happening behind the scenes, because though it's right in front of our faces, unless the mainstream news really reports it, most people are going to be in the dark. And I honestly don't want these things to just surprise anyone when I had a chance to warn and update them. Over the past 6 months since Donald Trump took office, we have seen major events transpire. We saw the death of the Pope. Israel and the United States attacked Iran. Mass deportation in the United States with major protests, and the army being deployed on U.S. soil. We saw a major blackout on the Iberian Peninsula. We had major wildfires in California. In the beginning of the year, planes were crashing at random. India attacked Pakistan. Donald Trump put up major tariffs disrupting worldwide trade. Donald Trump declared 150% tariffs on China for a brief period. I'm sure I'm forgetting things. That was just 6 months ago. It has been nonstop since Donald Trump has taken office. And the thing is that we are so programmed by news cycles that we forget things. Things happen, we focus on them, and then they leave the news cycle, and then it just goes away. We forget all about it. It was just at the end of 2024 where everyone was just focused on UFOs over the country. We are in a moment of change. And because our society is so heavily controlled, most of the world will not recognize the setup and what's happened until it's too late. Now, there's nothing that we can do to change the course of events. But if you are not asleep to it all, you can move with more understanding and not be a lost sheep like the rest of the world is. Those of us waiting for Bible prophecy to be fulfilled understand that all of these things are just signs of chaos that are waving the flag that changes upon us. And if we are vigilant and remain strong and faithful, we will be ready. Now, with all those events that happened in the first half of the year, other than the attack on Iran, I don't think there's bigger news than the numbers that have been reviewed and quietly spoken of just now. We are now entering a post-US-led world order, and we will not see the full scale of this until their agendas are complete. But with what has been revealed, I think it's important that I highlight it very briefly so that those of you who truly understand what's coming in this world, you can make proper decisions and move accordingly. The US dollar is quietly collapsing. The dominance of the dollar is on its way out. And if you really understand what that means, it should give you enough warning to prepare for what would happen before this fully hits.
And if we lost the world standard dollar, that would be like losing a war, a major world war. We would not be the same country any longer.
The full power of US dominance will not just go away by a news event. War will happen first. All the indicators are right in front of us. And I want to make sure you are told of this now so that it does not surprise you when it happens. So we're going to discuss the imminent collapse of the US dollar that's happening right now. Let's begin. Okay, so let me just say this. It is important that this information does not provoke fear in you. Please understand that fear is not an option. If you're preparing for the kingdom, these things, they must take place. I'm not telling you this to make you be fearful, but to be prepared, because they will not prepare you. The goal is to pull the rug from beneath you and make you desperate so you are easily transitioned into their new system. Over the past week, as the first half of the year ended, they have been in complete distraction mode, from speaking about Diddy to this flood that just happened to Elon Musk starting a new political party. I mean, ridiculous events. Please do not allow them to distract you. This is really what you need to know has happened. Here's an article just posted on Monday, July 7th, from mainstream news source CNBC. Here's the headline: The declining dollar faces more headwinds after posting worst first half return in 52 years. The article then says, the US dollar tumbled 10.7% against its global peers through June, making it the worst first half since 1973. Fresh off its worst performance since Richard Nixon was president, the US dollar faces a variety of headwinds heading into the second half of the year that could have important investing implications. The greenback tumbled 10.7% against its global peers through June, making it the worst first half since 1973, back when Nixon broke the Bretton Woods gold standard. At its bottom, the currency hit its lowest point since February 2022. The path ahead may not look much brighter. That's because many of the same factors, policy volatility, swelling debt and deficits, and potential interest rate cuts from the Federal Reserve, just to name a few, likely will stay on the minds of investors as they seek other avenues for safe havens. Okay, so let's be clear that the US dollar has lost almost 11% in value against other major currencies in the world. It's an invisible decline in our purchasing power. You wouldn't notice it in your bank account. It's not seen unless you're paying attention. So let's say you have $100,000 in the bank. It's only worth $89,000 right now in relation to other currencies in the world. Let me just show you by some charts. I can show you by first talking about the SDR. The SDRs are special drawing rights. They are an international reserve asset. The SDR is not a currency, but its value is based on a basket of 5 currencies: the US dollar, the euro, the Chinese renminbi, the Japanese yen, and the British pound sterling. The SDR was created by the IMF in 1969, where currencies were tied to the price of gold, and the US dollar was the leading international reserve asset. When fixed exchange rates ended in 1973, the IMF redefined the SDR as equivalent to the value of a basket of world currencies instead of the price of gold. So basically, they priced the SDR based on the value of these 5 currencies instead of valuing it by the price of gold. It's crazy, but don't get confused by that. It's not really important for you to understand. I only bring it up to review the top 5 currencies in the world. Again, that's the US dollar, the euro, the Chinese renminbi, the yuan, the Japanese yen, and the British pound sterling. And we should also add the Swiss franc to this list because it's considered a safe haven asset as well. I want to show you charts of the dollar over the past year to date. Dollar against the euro. Year to date, the dollar is down 11% compared to the euro. So if you went to go spend money in Europe, your dollar is buying you 11% less. Dollar against the British pound. The dollar is down 7.6%. Dollar to Japanese yen is down 6.5%. And US dollar to Swiss franc is down almost 12%. We leave the Chinese yuan alone really because it's pegged to the dollar right now. What I am showing though is a massive decline that according to CNBC, we have not seen in over 50 years. This is just the first half of the year. What we are seeing is the stage completely set for the changing of the world financial system, and the narrative is completely being given, but the mainstream media is not reporting on it. You must understand, this is a very big deal. This should be on the minds of everyone because this is your economic future. Now, if it was only really this news by itself, this would be alarming, but it could be manageable. But because of other events that are happening right now as well, it really is a cause for alarm. Just last week, the BRICS nations, which is a group of countries initially consisting of Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa, and now has expanded to Egypt, Ethiopia, Indonesia, Iran, and the United Arab Emirates. They recently had a summit in Brazil just last week, July 6th to the 8th, I think it was. And at that summit, they are challenging the world financial economic system led by the United States and the G7. The G7, or Group of Seven, is an intergovernmental political and economic forum consisting of Canada, France, Germany, Italy, Japan, the United Kingdom, and the United States. The European Union also participates as a non-numbered member. The BRICS were created to be the direct opposition of the G7, and they have been forming for many years directly opposing the United States position. But it is this year where they have decided to make their demands more clear, and they are pushing for world change.
Well, leaders of the BRICS bloc of emerging economies are meeting in Rio de Janeiro. Top of the agenda are Donald Trump's trade tariffs and the risks to the world economy. The BRICS nations include just over half the world's population and 40% of global economic output. While the summit is aiming for unity, some of the biggest players have stayed away.
Rio is gearing up with a massive security operation. With tensions rising over trade, currency control and geopolitical alignments, the BRICS bloc of emerging economies meeting here is under pressure to show that it's more than just a talking shop. BRICS stands for Brazil, Russia, India, China and South Africa, starting off as a designation by analysts but which then became a formal club. Since last year, Egypt, Ethiopia, Indonesia, Iran and the United Arab Emirates also joined the group, so-called Big BRICS or BRICS Plus. High on the agenda this year, talks on expanding the BRICS Pay platform to ease trade in their respective national currencies, a direct step towards reducing reliance on the US dollar. Though that stops short of proposals of a common currency between members. Also expected, discussions on security cooperation and a framework on AI governance. But not everyone is showing up in person, unlike last year. Russia's President Putin is subject to an international arrest warrant, while China's Xi Jinping is skipping the summit, sending his premier instead. Nevertheless, the Foreign Ministry says it still backs BRICS. We highly value and will actively participate in BRICS cooperation. We're willing to work with all parties, uphold the spirit of openness and win-win cooperation, stay true to the aspiration of unity, support Brazil in hosting a successful summit, and promote the development of big BRICS cooperation. The optics raise real questions about unity, just as Brazil tries to steer BRICS towards what it calls inclusive, sustainable leadership of the global south.
Okay, so their purpose is to challenge the US dollar for world trade and push other reforms. Putin and Xi, they were not in attendance, but Putin, he did give a speech.
BRICS countries account not only for a third of the world's land area and nearly half of the planet's population, but also for 40% of the global economy, with a combined GDP at purchasing power parity already reaching $77 trillion. This is according to IMF data for the year 2025. By the way, in this regard, BRICS significantly surpasses some other groups, including the Group of Seven. There, the figure is $57 trillion. Year after year, the authority and influence of our association in the world continue to grow. BRICS has rightfully established itself as one of the key centers of global governance and the strong voice of our countries in support of the fundamental interests of the global majority is being heard ever more clearly on the international stage.
He literally is explaining that the BRICS in size and influence is a challenge to the G7. He also says this.
We can all see that fundamental changes are taking place in the world. The unipolar system of international relations, which serve the interests of the so-called golden billion, is becoming a thing of the past. It is being replaced by a fairer, multipolar world. The process of changing the global economic order continues to gain momentum.
See, he speaks of a change to the global financial order. And watch, he explains that he's trying to create a new system for settlements.
It is also necessary to continue expanding the use of national currencies in mutual settlements. The creation of an independent settlement and depository system within the BRICS framework, it seems, would make currency transactions faster, more efficient, and more secure. Incidentally, the use of national currencies in trade between our countries is steadily increasing.
You must understand, this is a complete challenge to the economic system. And he has stated that he is excited about the final declaration that the BRICS proposed.
In conclusion, I would like to once again thank my colleagues from the BRICS member states for their fruitful and constructive cooperation. We believe that the final declaration of the summit in Rio de Janeiro, which is ready for adoption, lays a solid foundation for our continued joint work in the traditional BRICS spirit of continuity and equal cooperation.
Now, if you actually read the final declaration, there is a large agenda focused on change. There are many points that are shared, but I want to read this point. It's points 9 and 10. It says, recalling that 2025 marks the 80th anniversary of the end of the Second World War, a war which brought untold sorrow to humankind, particularly in Europe, Asia, Africa, the Pacific, and other parts of the world. We render our full support to the UNGA Resolution 79-272 on the 80th anniversary of the end of the Second World War, on this historical event which established the conditions for the creation of the United Nations, designed to save succeeding generations from the scourge of war. Number 10, on the 80th anniversary, we reiterate the urgent need to reform the Bretton Woods institutions to make them more agile, effective, credible, inclusive, fit for purpose, unbiased, accountable, and representative, enhancing their legitimacy. Understand, they want to reform the Bretton Woods Agreement, which is what made the United States dollar King Dollar, which is exactly what has put America in great power over the past 50 years. Now, there is so much more written in that BRICS declaration. I put it on my website for anyone who wants to read it for themselves. The link's in the description box. What I'm saying is that the narrative for the economic reset is right before us. You can't have a dollar collapse and economic reset without formally having powerful declared enemies of the system that's pushing for change. It would not make sense. The dollar collapse is no longer a conspiracy theory, but an actual agenda that is on the table of the other half of the world population. So let me be clear so you don't misunderstand me. It's very easy to see all that and believe the other side is fighting for the world or whatever. Please do not misunderstand what is really happening. None of this is real. I repeat, none of this is real. In order for the world to move down these agendas, it just can't come out of nowhere. I really think people believe these Christian movies like Left Behind, and they really believe the world works like they show. The world is not going to one day go in unexpected chaos, and then the Antichrist will come out of nowhere and he will give all these changes. No, there are Satanists actually planning to make the world bow down to Satan. Everything that's happening right now is a part of that agenda. This is the narrative that the world powers are using in order to justify the change that will come when the time presents itself. This is just like a television program or a movie. This is a narrative, and you should pay attention to what the mainstream talks about in great detail and what they are not talking about, because that tells you if they got more to the story that they will be bringing out. Like, please think about the fact that these major nations just held a major meeting that was directly against the US-led world order, and you haven't heard mainstream media talk about it at all. I mean, what percentage of the public do you think even knows about this event and that these nations are attacking their current way of life? I mean, yes, we're seeing that Trump did speak about it, but did you hear about it from the mainstream?
Yeah.
If they aligned with anti-American policies,
10% charge.
that would be India, Brazil,
That's
Russia,
right, they have to pay
South Africa.
10% if they're in BRICS. Because
Right.
BRICS was set up to hurt us. BRICS was set up to degenerate our dollar and take our dollar as the standard, take it off as the standard. And that's okay if they want to play that game, but I can play that game too. So anybody that's in BRICS is getting a 10% charge.
Is that immediate, sir, or is
Yeah,
that
pretty soon.
if they engage in some behavior?
Well, if they're a member of BRICS, they're going to have to pay 10% tariff, just for that one thing, and they won't be a member long. I thought BRICS was, I said this about a year ago, and it largely broke up. but there are a couple that hang around. But I thought it largely broke up. BRICS is not, in my opinion, not a serious threat. But what they're trying to do is destroy the dollar so that another country can take over and be the standard. And we're not going to lose the standard at any time. If you have a smart president, you will never lose the standard. If you have a stupid president like the last one, you would lose the standard. You wouldn't have the dollar as you. And if we lost the world standard dollar, that would be like losing a war, a major world war. We would not be the same country any longer. We're not going to let that happen. The dollar, you ever hear the expression, dollar is king? The dollar is king. We're going to keep it that way, okay?
The media, they didn't highlight that part from the news conference. They focused on the Epstein cover-up.
Attorney General Pam Bondi getting harshly criticised in what is known as the MAGA world after the Justice Department released a memo saying that the accused sex trafficker died by suicide in jail while awaiting trial, and that there is no so-called client list of notable figures involved with Epstein that have fueled right-wing conspiracy theories. Here's how both President Trump and Bondi answered a question about the DOJ memo during Tuesday's cabinet meeting. Have a listen.
I mean, I can't believe you're asking a question on Epstein at a time like this where we're having some of the greatest success and also tragedy with what happened in Texas. It just seems like a desecration, but you go ahead.
They always have a convenient story that will get the attention of the people more than what's really important. That is all by design. But you can't say that they're not addressing it and they're not talking about it. It's just that you have to do more due diligence to find it. You see, all these new tariffs Trump is putting out, and the media, they just give headlines. Trump is putting tariff on Japan. Trump is putting tariffs on Brazil. Trump is talking greasy with Putin. But context is missing. Like with Japan, Japan has tried to be an ally of these BRIC nations, like India and Brazil. The BRICS conference was in Brazil. Brazil puts the B in BRICS. But people think that these tariffs are just out of nowhere.
With the president releasing a letter announcing a 50% tariff on imports from Brazil starting August 1st. Mr. Trump specifically pointing to the ongoing prosecution of one of his longtime allies, Brazil's former president Jair Bolsonaro.
Like in regards to Russia, right after the BRICS meeting and Putin's speech, Trump goes back to giving weapons to the Ukraine and starts talking greasy about Putin. People see these things, but don't understand what's really happening. It's a narrative, a conflict that's forming. But for those of us here in the United States, those of us a part of the West, they don't want us to be awake to the full narrative yet, because they have plans to use this agenda to lead us into their new system. I mean, we hear everything about all these new tariffs, but the mainstream media leaves out the fact that he has threatened just an extra 10% tariffs just for a nation being a part of the BRICS.
And that's okay if they want to play that game, but I can play that game too. So anybody that's in BRICS is getting a 10% charge.
Is that immediate, sir? Or is
Yeah,
that
pretty soon.
if they engage in some behavior?
Well, if they're a member of BRICS, they're going to have to pay 10% tariff just for that one thing. And they won't be a member long.
Trump is talking about them and saying that they're not a big deal. But analyze his latest moves. What did he do? He recently is saying he's going to give Ukraine more weapons and just recently spoke directly against Putin, but making it about the Ukraine war. And they knew everything about this. That's why they gave themselves a self-imposed deadline to pass that tax bill that was also about adding more debt and producing economic insolvency. And Trump, he's been adding more tariffs as well. He just keeps giving the masses enough evidence to understand why the changes are coming. It's all about the narrative so that the people believe it and are easily led to the agendas that proceed after they set the whole system on fire. And it's right in front of our faces. I mean, you really need to understand their Darwinian mindset of survival of the fittest, because they aren't hiding anything. They are walking this all down in real time. But they believe that if you are so dumb and easily manipulated to trust them blindly, that you're not strong enough to survive, and therefore what happens to you is not on them. That's their belief. I mean, they're not hiding. They're doing everything else except standing in front of us and spelling it out directly for us. I mean, what did Trump do the day before he took office? He created a digital currency. That's not for this current system that we're in. Is the world using digital currencies for major trade right now? That would make sense? Can you go to Walmart and buy something with Bitcoin or Ethereum right now? Of course not. But the man who says he's dedicated to making America great again literally started something that has nothing to do with why America is great. Shortly after, he signs an executive order to make America the cryptocurrency and AI capital of the world.
Yeah, this is the crypto EO. We're going to be forming an internal working group to make America the world capital in crypto under your leadership.
Which is really going up, right?
Absolutely.
Two agendas that are currently opposite of our current way of life and are a major disruption to our way of life today. What else did he do? He started a Bitcoin strategic reserve on March 6th. The presidential order says the establishment of the strategic Bitcoin reserve and United States digital asset stockpile. And he said he did that as a matter of national security. They just passed the Genius Act stablecoin initiative in June. While the United States debt keeps climbing. I mean, right now it's at 37 trillion and rapidly climbing. And what's been happening with gold? I kid you not, gold is up 25% year to date. Literally, in 6 months, the value is up 25%. I think it's at $3,300 an ounce right now. This is literally happening right now, right in front of us. While people are making reels talking about nonsense, acting like all that fake money that they're making online is sustainable and will be there for them in the next 6 months to a year. People don't have a clue and they're completely distracted, talking about Diddy, Jim Jones versus Nas, Epstein's client list, all this feminism stuff, whatever it is. A bunch of distractions. This whole system is screaming out for change. The major countries in the world are organizing in order to implement it. And if you are not ready for it, the powers that be feel that you were not one of the strongest, and therefore whatever happens to you is not on them. Survival of the fittest. Listen clearly to Trump's words when talking about this. He basically explained that them doing this would be like a world war, World War III.
In my opinion, not a serious threat. But what they're trying to do is destroy the dollar so that another country can take over and be the standard. And we're not going to lose the standard at any time. If you have a smart president, you will never lose the standard. If you have a stupid president like the last one, you would lose the standard. You wouldn't have the dollar as you. And if we lost the world standard dollar, that would be like losing a war, a major world war. We would not be the same country any longer. We're not going to let that happen.
If they lost the standard, it would be like losing a major world war. It's right in everyone's faces. They are not hiding it. Maybe you don't remember, but the G7, they met before the BRICS met. They met in Canada on June 15th. And then Donald Trump left early and then warned people to flee Iran's capital. These are all war drums being beaten right now in front of everyone, but because the mainstream media is not connecting the dots for everyone, people are not able to clearly see it. By hitting Iran, they are showing that they're not here for the games. It's right in your faces. Remember, Iran is a member of the BRICS. Listen, I am not saying any of this to scare you, but to make sure you are informed that things are happening right in front of you, and maybe you aren't aware. This is happening. There's nothing you can do to stop it, but you can switch gears into reality of the actual world that you're in and leave the fictional one that most of the people that you may know are living in that do not expect problems and they're not expecting this major issue. They are attacking the economic system, which means that if your money and worth has been summed up and valued by a fiat currency backed by nothing like the United States dollar, what are you going to do when they attack the very thing that you have attached your whole way of life around? Listen, as I speak right now about the dollar losing value, don't expect this to happen tomorrow, that all of a sudden you'll lose all your money. I mean, it could happen like that, but that probably will not be what happens. I have repeatedly explained war comes first. As the BRICS noted, the Second World War resulted in this current economic system that we're in today. You are seeing the alliances that are formed that represent both sides of the conflict. You should be expecting major war to start. Expect a major event that triggers conflict, because they are not going to go to war to just say that they're fighting to change the world order. Absolutely not. We just know that this is a part of the agenda when the conflicts start. You should be ready for these type of problems. War comes first, and then famine, and then economic collapse. And that's just based upon the seals and the book of Revelation. What I am showing you is the narratives that they will be using that's behind the conflicts when they start. And what the biggest risk to you will be is being caught by surprise and then being attached to the anger and fear that will consume everyone else around the world. This is not just a United States problem, this is a world problem. The dollar is losing value and the system is currently being attacked. I am bringing this out because it's important that it does not catch you by surprise. What you should do with this information is different for each of us. But plan for problems with your money. I really wouldn't worry about housing being an issue initially. I think it's more important about losing access to things that once were regularly available, like food and water. And again, please be clear, I am not just speaking to the people in the United States, but everyone. Please be ready for a storm. Pretend a major storm like a hurricane is coming. What would you need if the power went out for an extended period of time? If you are sent to the arms of the government, you will be led right into their hands. I've been talking about this dollar collapse for a long time, and I hope that many of you have been preparing. Being mentally and spiritually prepared is most important. Like with the mental preparation, if you experience a problem with the banks or your credit cards don't work, please don't panic and move like everyone else will. Please, because you're mentally prepared, be one of the people who are ready and not led by your fear or your emotions. Just be like, I planned for this, I know this is going to happen, let me go home and get safe. Please, look at all the movements in the United States without listening to the words and the rhetoric by the media. They just gave Trump the authority to reduce federal employees. This country has been one of the largest employers of its population for a long period of time. But all of a sudden now, they are reducing the workforce. Why do you think that is? This only happens when a company is cutting costs. If you turn off all the noise and just look at the country and what is happening, all this should be easy to see. And so if you're ready for it mentally, physically, and above all spiritually, you will be fine because you will not be led like everyone else. This is a time where you're going to have to actually show that you have faith. We're going to see a lot of Christians walk straight out of their faith because their faith was based upon certain conditions that was never tested. Our Messiah told us clearly to not store up treasures on earth. He said, do not lay up for yourselves treasures on earth where moth and rust destroy and where thieves break in and steal. But lay up yourselves treasures in heaven where neither moth nor rust destroy and where thieves do not break in and steal. For where your treasure is, there your heart will be also. Matthew chapter 6, verses 19 through 21. But unfortunately, many people who call themselves followers of Messiah did not truly take this advice, and they built their faith around their blessings. I've found that your faith is built stronger during the harder times than with the good ones. That's why fasting is so important, because you learn how to depend on Yah to sustain you. If you are paying attention and understanding what the world is clearly showing right now, they are telling you that thieves are going to break in and steal your money, steal your treasure, just like Messiah prophesied. It may come about through many different ways: cyber attacks, bank runs, just economic collapse, period. I don't know the agenda, but what I'm saying is that the narrative around it is very much public. You can clearly see the power slipping away. We are seeing the decline of a US-led world order in real time. There is nothing about what you're seeing right now that should give you long hopes of future prosperity here. Please prepare for problems. And be clear, I'm not saying live with a gray cloud over your head. Absolutely not. That's not the way I live. These can be the best times of your life if you know how to really give it all over to Yah. Let go of your control and allow Yah to take care of your life and your future. Yahweh knows all this is happening, and he knows you. If you put your trust in him, he will take care of you. This event, it sounds secular, yes, but it's all biblical, and it's all about how we get to our promises. I'm bringing this up because I just don't think it's something clearly seen, and it's not being articulated enough. So if I could bring your attention to it, you can watch for yourself and know that you need to make sure that you're ready. If some of this is making you fearful, use this as a wake-up call that you need to strengthen your faith in Yahweh right now. You need to make sure that you trust him. And you understand, actually trusting him is different than just saying that you do. Don't just say, yeah, I trust Yah. Make sure you mean it truly in your heart. When the world resets, it's going to really bring it all out and really show who's true in their faith and who is just talking. It's easy to trust them when your bills are paid, you got money in your account, your job is all good. It's easy to say you trust Yah during those times. But what happens when all those safety nets go away? I know many of you are going through problems right now. I want many of you to consider that maybe the problem that you're dealing with right now, though it's obviously not fun, sometimes you really never know if Yah is just taking you through a sort of training camp, preparing you for the times ahead. If you already know how to go through hard times and how to make difficult decisions and know your only option is to trust Yahuwah, what is coming will be a lot easier for you to deal with. So take your challenges as a blessing. He may be training you up so that you can know how to endure. Because so many people today, they're so high on life and high on themselves, they've never had problems. And when the problems come, they are not going to know how to deal with it. Here's a suggestion for many of you. If you lack faith, please go to the book of Psalms and read some Psalms. Say these Psalms daily and make sure that you believe it. Like this one. Yahuwah is my shepherd, I shall not want. He makes me to lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside the still waters. He restores my soul. He leads me in the path of righteousness for his name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. You prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies. You anoint my head with oil, my cup runs over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of Yahuwah forever. Psalms chapter 23, verses 1 through 6. I mean, like, if you actually really believe this would reduce your fear. Because if you actually believe this, you know there's nothing to fear. Here's another one. I will lift up my eyes to the hills. From whence comes my help? My help comes from Yahuwah, who made heaven and earth. He will not allow your foot to be moved. He who keeps you will not slumber. Behold, he who keeps Israel shall neither slumber nor sleep. Yahuwah is your keeper. Yahuwah is your shade at your right hand. The sun shall not strike you by day, nor the moon by night. Yahuwah shall preserve you from all evil. He shall preserve your soul. Yahuwah shall preserve your going out and your coming in from this time forth and even forevermore. Psalm chapter 121, verses 1 through 8. If you really believe that Yahuwah shall preserve you from all evil, then these evil agendas, they got nothing to do with you. But if you do not believe it, that's why you have fear. I believe this. I have no fear of these people. Their evil has nothing to do with me. You need to trust Yahuwah. And this is the point where all your words and all your faith really is going to be tested. Make sure you believe it. Use these Psalms amongst many others and build your faith. If you get weak and start fearing, read the Psalms. Just please understand that this world is changing. It's happening right now, right in front of us all. And though the mainstream is very silent, it does not mean that it's not happening. Please stay vigilant. Ask yourself right now, what would you do if your money didn't work and everything in your city shut down? What would you do? After you ask the question, have an answer. Create a plan and be ready, because this world is set to change. Change is very much upon us. For those in Yah, this change will be a blessing if you are ready for it. So listen, the most important thing you can do right now is be ready. So please, make sure that you are. Be blessed. Hallelujah. Praise Yah. Okay, thanks again for watching. If this has blessed you, please don't forget to like this and share this video with others. If you haven't done so already, please don't forget to subscribe to this channel. Yah willing, I upload every Friday. Also, please don't forget to like and follow this ministry on Facebook and Instagram, as well as on my website, truthunedited.com. As always, I would like to thank all who bless this ministry. Thank you for your love and your contributions. They are truly a blessing, and you have no idea how much you bless this ministry. Thank you for following the call Yahuwah has placed on your heart. Be blessed. Okay, thanks again for watching, everyone. I love you all.